Hello and welcome to Sports Weekly. Rain was again a factor in games this week, but we were still able to get to both Assabet and Marlboro, so let's go around the horn. Assabet boys lacrosse taking on Neshoba Valley Monday afternoon in Marlboro, and early on, the Vikings score first, taking the lead out of the gate, but the Aztecs' Jason Teixeira would rip one on net with his lefty shot. Here's another one, putting the Aztecs up 2-1. That's the score going into the second. Early in the second, it's Nick Benway of the Aztecs who throws one on net, and he'll score with a little bounce there. Then it's Cam Benway from the corner scoring for Assabet, putting them up 2. But Neshoba Valley would score 3 unanswered goals late in the second quarter. That would tie the game 4-4 at the half. Picking it up in the third quarter, the Aztecs take a 5-4 lead with this shot, but answered right back by Neshoba Valley. That's it for Neshoba Valley goals, as the Aztecs would go on a run here, scoring 5 unanswered goals, taking the lead 10-5. and running away with this one, as that would be the final score. Jason Teixeira scores 3 goals and has 3 assists as the Aztecs move to 3-2 on the year. Marlboro baseball taking on Westboro Thursday afternoon, and we pick it up in the third as Mike Ryan draws a walk for the Panthers. Ryan quickly steals second base. Evan Schmidline at the plate, and he'll single up the middle. Ryan comes around third base. The throw goes into home, but it's too late, and the Panthers go up 1-0. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Here, Justin Kett draws a walk, starting things off for the Panthers. Joe Tenera grounds one off the pitcher. They can't make the play at first and second for Marlboro. Mike Whitman pops it straight up to the catcher, right up the elevator shaft, but the catcher misplays it. Heads up base running on third by Kett, and that will be another run for the Panthers. And here, Mike Ryan, again, he singles up the middle, driving in 2 runs that were on base because of the error, sliding in home. 2 more for the Panthers, up 4-0. In the fifth, Paul Wydom, he would induce 11 ground ball outs, and this is a huge one as the Panthers turn to Wydom loves it. We head to the top of the sixth. One of those ground balls was not an out as the shortstop makes a throwing error, or maybe an error on the first baseman, but it's a good thing for the Rangers. Here, another double play ball, a little trouble getting it out of glove, can't turn to. Next batter for the Rangers lines one to right field, but a terrific play made by the Panthers right fielder, keeping the runner at first base. Now with the runner on second, a single up the middle, and the Rangers get on the board. 4-1 Marlboro as the throw is too late. But in the top of the seventh, Wydom is still dealing. Here he gets a strikeout, and perfect, a ground ball back to him to end it. He goes 7, allowing no earned runs as the Panthers go on to win 4-1. The Marlboro baseball team got a win this week, but before that, our Matt Bisaccio had a chance to sit down with the man filling out the Panther lineup card in this week's Coach's Corner.
Thanks, Tom. We're joined by Marlboro High baseball coach Mike Reynolds and his daughter Emma. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, to begin these interviews, most of the time we like to try to start off with a couple of easier questions to get to know you and a little bit about your past.
Okay.
So with that said, how old were you when you first learned the game, and who taught you?
Right off the bat, I was in the game. My dad played professional baseball for the Phillies. So as soon as I was born, I was in a major league park and took off from there.
Yeah. Now, what type of experience was that for you at such an early age to be around professional athletes like that?
It was fantastic. I mean, a lot of the stuff I learned, obviously my dad taught me a lot, but watching guys play at that level, I was able to just soak it all in. Like, I was that annoying kid in the clubhouse constantly asking questions.
That's great. Who would be the athlete or the professional that probably stood out to you the most as a kid?
One of my favorites growing up for some reason was Fred Lynn. I think just the way he played in the outfield, the diving catches and all that really, at that age, really stood out to me a lot.
Was there any of the Phillies players that took to you, and do you have any maybe stories about them?
Yeah, it's actually, it's funny, I played with, growing up, like Brett Boone and Aaron Boone were like two of my birthday mates and stuff, and I actually got to see Brett at a regional. I was playing at Georgia Tech there, USC was there, and got to run into him, talk to him for a few minutes. But yeah, a lot of those guys, it's just fantastic. Like watching Bob Boone, Steve Carlton was there, Tim McCarver, Larry Boa. So a lot of guys that were around at that time are still in the game in some way, shape, or form.
What about your particular playing career? Even starting as far back as middle school, high school.
Yeah, it's. I actually started playing Legion ball in 7th grade. I didn't play a lot that year, but Coach Ted Rolfe went down for the tryouts and stuff, and he actually had coached my dad when he was in high school and gave me an opportunity to see the difference in the speed of the game, because at that time Legion ball was the only game that wasn't AAU. So you had, mainly juniors and seniors in high school playing. So I was able to see how much faster the game was and kind of incorporate that into what I felt I needed to pick up on. But middle school went well. High school I was able to start as a freshman, played second base. Sophomore year I moved to catcher. Halfway through junior year I played a little bit of shortstop. Then my senior year I played mainly short.
What type of influence do you think that had on you as a coach, playing catcher and being a middle infielder?
Huge. It really did. Like anyone that's a decent baseball player in the younger, I try and encourage them to play catcher at some point in time. It's just everything that's going on in the field just gives you a different perspective. You can see it much more clearly than you can if you're playing only one position all the time. And even in middle school, and I coach for Northeast Baseball, I do their 14U program. I try to move the kids around as much as possible. And because at some point I try to explain to them, I say, if you're a shortstop, you're going to go someplace, there's going to be a shortstop better than you. And if that's all you can play, you're stuck.
Sure.
You have to be comfortable at multiple positions, and it makes you a better player in your main position too, if you know what other guys are seeing and what their responsibilities are.
Being a former catcher, do you now, with your current catches, are you a little bit more critical of them?
No, I try to let them they're calling their own pitches, they're working with the pitchers. I'm always there if there's a question. Every once in a while I'll get a glance looking for a little advice, but usually I let them, if they're going to make a mistake, that's how you learn, and then afterwards we'll have a discussion about it. If someone called a changeup right after a kid was blown away by a fastball, it's like, why did you call that pitch? What were you thinking? And kind of let them live and learn through that process.
When did you realize that you wanted to become a coach?
Not until I was done playing. It was one of those that I think it was kind of in the back of my mind, just growing up around a coach. I got to see him make the transition from player to coach, and even in high school a little bit, like one of the comments that was made oftentimes, it must be nice having an extra coach on the field. But it was just, the way I learned the game was very different than most kids are going to learn the game. I learned watching professional players do it at a very high level, at a very, quick pace. The game is much faster at that level. And sometimes I think I expect a little, not in a bad way, but expect kids to know some things. So I've learned that. That's the biggest thing I've learned coaching was don't expect that a kid knows something, go down to the finer details. Constantly go through everything, even the smallest thing.
Sure. Since you have been exposed to pretty much all levels of baseball, all the way up to professional, what do you think goes into being a good manager?
The manager, I can't even imagine nowadays trying to manage, just because the bullpen alone it's unbelievable how specialized things have become. Like when I grew up, mainly around the professional game, it was, if you were a starter, you were out there. If you didn't go 7, you felt like you let the team down. Now it's, say, give me 5 good ones and it's on to the next guy.
Barely a quality start.
Yeah,
right?
just that side of it alone is just unbelievable. I think the game situations, it's probably easier now. There's a lot less, guys aren't stealing bases as much. You don't see hit and runs as much. The bunt is basically dead. Unless the guy's bunting for a base hit, you don't see sacrifice bunts that much anymore at that level. So the strategy part of it, I don't think is anywhere near what it was in the past. It's mainly managing your bullpen personnel and who's hot stays in and who's not comes out.
Do you feel as though that the specialized version of the game that we have today has led to a poorer product?
It's tough because it's fun to watch guys like the Yankees had 3 guys in a row that were all coming in and throwing right around 100.
Betances and Chapman.
Yeah, I mean that's phenomenal to watch. But it's at the same time, it was fun to watch a guy pitch. A lot of guys now, it seems like they throw more than they pitch. It's all right, you got 5 innings, go out there, throw as hard as you can.
Sure.
They're throwing a hard slider. You don't see that many guys that are mixing and matching with the changeup, the curveball, that sort of thing, and finding a way to get guys out.
Anybody that's played baseball in the Northeast, or just the North in general, knows that it's really like a 6-month window, if that you
Right.
have to be able to play. During those winter months, what do you tell your players, or how do they train to stay sharp during the off season so that way when it comes time to play in March, they're ready to go?
Yeah, that's the toughest part up here. And I think a huge part of it is the throwing side of it. It's very difficult to find an area long enough where you can actually throw and stretch it out. And, throwing long tosses, that's basically the way you're going to get that arm strength up and get a stronger arm and healthier arm. And it's hard to find areas where you can get out there and do that. You don't want them outside, obviously, when it's 15 degrees out trying to throw and stretch it out. So to me, that's where the New England kids are farther behind than a lot of the Southern kids on that side. Because when you look at how hard kids are throwing in high school now, it's unbelievable. And when you look at those kids, it's, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, up California. It's those warmer states where they're outside and they're increasing their arm strength as they go. But it's, you just do the best you can up here. I think, like when I was down at school, at the beginning of the year, Rutgers would come down, and playing against those kids was always difficult because they were so excited to be outside. It'd be, if we had a bad day, it was 60 degrees, and they were just acting like it's the middle of summer and stuff. And it was fun to see that from a different perspective.
We know about the Little League World Series and how there are strict pitch counts for
Yes.
kids of that age. That probably lends to a more specialized version of the game today that we just got done talking about.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is a good thing for younger players to be able to have that, or do you think that they should be able to kind of develop the arm strength a little bit better?
I think at the age they're doing that, I think that the numbers they have are pretty good. In fact, in Marlboro, we have Cal Ripken, and they used to do it by innings, which was tough because you'd have some of your better kids would go out and throw, say they threw 4 innings, they might only be throwing 45 or 50 pitches. And then you go into another kid for 2 innings who might not throw as well, not be as accurate, and he's throwing 65, 70 pitches. So I think the way that they approached it, I think it's, the day's rest, I think, is the key. Because there's a lot of, in AAU, some of the programs and stuff, like you go into a tournament and there's no pitch restriction. You'll see a kid throw 3 on Friday and come back and throw 5 on Sunday. It's, if you're doing that over a regular basis, that's tough. It's not that you threw 110 pitches, it's when you throw 50, then you come back the next day, you throw another 50, so you're constantly getting it going, shutting it down, getting it going, shutting it down. If you have that rest time, I think kids can probably go a little bit deeper, but Little League, I think, is on the right page.
Okay. And we'll close off with your team in particular. What players should we keep an eye out for this year?
We've got a couple. We've got one sophomore, Hunter Reynolds, who he'll be behind the plate, he'll pitch, he'll play some third. He started every game last year as a freshman. We've got one other sophomore, Brett Federico, who mainly will play in the infield, he'll pitch a little bit. And then Mike Ryan probably is the third player. He's a junior who will play short, some outfield, he'll pitch a little bit too. So that's top third of our order right there. We've got a couple seniors that, pitch in. Evan Schmidline is probably our top senior. He'll do the other half of the catching. He's got a little pop too.
Great. Well, good luck to you and your team the rest of the year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back to you, Tom.
When we get back, me and Dan catch up in the Talkin' Sports locker room, so stick around.
2010, after 2 years of constant bullying, 11-year-old Ty Smalley took his own life. In the past 7 years, more than 55,000 children have taken their own lives due to bullying. That's 22 youth suicides every day. Stand for the Silent is a grassroots organization that educates people about the harsh reality of bullying and the devastation it causes, and they need your help. Visit standforthesilent.org to learn how you can get involved and help us to save lives.
I stand for the silent.
I stand for the silent.
I stand for the
I
silent.
stand for the
I
silent.
stand for the silent.
I stand for the silent.
I stand for the
I
silent.
stand for
I
the
stand
silent.
for the
I
silent.
stand for the silent.
I stand for the silent.
I'm Roddy Piper, and we stand for the silent.
Hello and welcome inside the Talkin' Sports locker room, and Dan is finally back. It's been a while.
Wow, you wouldn't let me out
Yeah.
here for a while.
You have to keep you caged for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll behave myself.
So, since the last time you were here, a lot has happened.
Yes.
So we'll just get right into it, and we'll start with a season that just ended and the Bruins, who did end up making the playoffs. Every game of the series was a one-goal game, so it was an exciting series, but they just didn't have it.
No.
But they did name Bruce Cassidy this week the full-time coach. What do you think?
Well, you can't argue with his record with the team, but I still think that there's a lot that needs to be done with this team. You need a better backup goalie for Tuukka Rask because, again, for like the third season in a row, he was overused. You've got a decent front line, you got a first line, you got a decent fourth line, but you got to fill in the second and third lines. They have a lot of issues, but they have a lot of younger players. They did what they wanted to, Cam Neely and Don Sweeney, which was to go out there and compete and rebuild at the same time. So they got into the first round, good for them, and they lost in 6 games to what I consider to be an inferior team. I just don't think this team... This team just needs to get better. They're a better team than what they're displaying right now.
Now, I've thought this for like the past 2 years, and I might be crazy because don't know a ton about hockey, but I think it's a great time to say goodbye to the captain, Zdeno Chara. I just don't see it anymore.
He actually had a good season as 40-year-olds go with their seasons. We'll find out with Tom Brady pretty soon in the fall how the 40-year-old wall is to climb. But he liked the fact that he was kind of a teacher to these younger guys because they do have some young, talented defensemen. But he's going to have to go on like almost like a David Ortiz thing where they keep signing him to a 1-year contract extension. And if he's fine with that, word is out on the street that he wants an extension. I don't know if he'd be happy with a bunch of 1 years, but the thing is, you got the young talent, but as far as the other defensemen, he's the best that you've got. So you kind of have to hold on to him for now.
Which is a problem because he is
you don't like
40s.
That, yeah.
He's in his 40s. All right, so we're going to shift a little bit. A team that's still in the playoffs, started terrible, but now they look like they're in control, and that's the Celts.
Well, the Celtics figured their problems out 2 ways. One, Rondo's broken thumb, which has kept him out of play, but also the fact that they were tied in the Eastern Conference with the Toronto Raptors for the best road record in the Eastern Conference. So it didn't surprise me that they went and they got 2 games there, especially with Rondo on the sideline. Game 5 was a little concerning for me. They should be protecting the home court a little better throughout, consistently. I'm talking about through the game.
Right.
Don't you think so?
Yeah. They really, it was a 13-0 run in the fourth that changed that because it was a back-and-forth game. I didn't get to see all of it. I was at Fenway Park that night, but I did
losing.
Yes, that's true. I did catch the fourth quarter, and what stood out to me in the fourth quarter, and I've heard a lot of people say this isn't the type of player he is, but when he is this type of player, the team's way better. And when Al Horford is aggressive, he's nearly unstoppable, and he does everything. He rebounds, he makes assists, plays incredible defense, and scores. So I don't love the 25 feet away from the basket taking wide open threes, Al Horford.
No.
I like the inside 10 feet being a post player, Al Horford.
He even looks awkward when he throws up the three-pointers.
Yeah, he has a funny looking shot.
Yeah, he definitely does. But see, to me, the Celtics are playing an inferior team.
Absolutely.
And it should be reflected that they're the number 1 seed against the number 8 seed. They shouldn't be having this much of a problem. Yes, you can have those kind of problems if you're the number 1 seed. We've seen it in the playoffs before. But it would really be shocking to me if they don't close out Friday night. And of course, we're taping this Friday morning, so I'm going to look like an idiot all weekend.
I agree with you. And Rondo was ruled out again last night.
Yeah.
So that really was the changer.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
there's a really good chance they would still be playing the 6th game tonight, but I think it would be 3-2 Chicago. Yeah. I think they would have won 1 in Chicago and then won Game 5. But now it's 3-2 Celtics, which is great.
Yeah.
And all season, I've actually been saying that they're a second round and out, whether
Yeah,
it's a 1
right.
or 2 seed. So it's looking like the Wizards, who they
Washington,
they don't match up well against.
No, they don't match up well against them. But I would love, if they get past Chicago, I'd love to see that series because for me, it's kind of hearkening back to the 1980s, like grudge matches, real grudge matches. You could even go like early 90s, I guess. It just has all those ingredients with Washington.
And with the two teams having a young core and talented players, this could turn into an actual rivalry, which isn't so much the case.
Kind of is already.
Yeah, it isn't the case with like the
fighting.
Lakers anymore.
No.
Not so much with the Cavs since the KG, Ray Allen, Pierce dynamic left. So it'd be awesome just to have that 4 or 5 times a year. It's the TNT game or the Sunday afternoon game. That'd be awesome.
Well, in order to have a proper rivalry, and I think just because of all the history, the Red Sox-Yankees until 2004 got away with it, it can't be one-sided. You know, it has to be back and forth. And to be honest, you know, if you don't mind me just switching over to baseball for a minute, I think the rivalry that's heated up with the Orioles is going to be much better for Red Sox fans than what you got going with the Yankees right now.
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually a perfect little segue because that was our next topic.
I'm good at that.
I think we touched everything we need with the Celts. So we are, as Dan said, taping this Friday morning. And for the 5th time this year, Chris Sale dominated and got 0 help.
The man is 1-2. He shouldn't be 1-2.
I just looked it up. He has a 1.19 ERA.
There you go.
It's insane. So Bogarts came out and said last night, they said, what's going on with the offense? And he was like, well, it's pretty obvious David isn't here anymore. What do you think about that?
I think it's true because I think you see certain guys getting pitched differently, but I also think there's like just this whole weirdness with their flu bug and then some injuries. Carson Smith, it just came out. He felt some kind of discomfort in the elbow, so they slowed him down. David Price is still trying to work his way back. Fat Panda is now on the DL. I mean, he showed some good signs in spring, but wasn't doing much otherwise. So it's okay for the Fat Panda to be eating leaves on the DL right now. But I don't see the depth of this team, which is what Dave Dombrowski is known for, having all this depth. I'm seeing injured players. I'm seeing weird things happening. I don't think this is going to be the same team. They're going to start hitting home runs. I mean, you looked at the Yankees last night. They've got guys with 4 homers, 6 homers, 3 homers. And then our leading home run hitter is who is
Sandoval.
it? Isn't it Sandoval?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Sandoval. Okay. Yeah, but then Leon.
Yeah.
Leon's got a couple, and he's got like a 117 batting average. It's just, it's not going to continue this way. It's just been really weird. But creating offense is their problem right now, and they got to figure out how to do it with a lineup and how to handle pitchers and catchers who have certain game plans for certain hitters now that there's no Big Papi in that lineup.
Yeah, so the weirdest thing is it's not so much really getting hits and getting on base because they're 4th in batting average. Until this Yankees series, they actually led at least the AL, but maybe even the majors, and then they've slipped this series. but they're also in the top 10 in on-base percentage as a team, but dead last in home runs, in like fourth to last in RBI. So they're getting the guys on, they're just not getting those clutch hits.
And you know, it's an old-fashioned thing. Like, I don't want 9 hitters who hit 300 because you're looking at a bunch of singles. You need some pop. You need guys who are going to hit 250, 260, but every, I don't know, 5th or 6th at bat, you have a chance of them driving in runs or sending the ball out of the park.
Yeah, I wonder if, so the Cubs are coming in this weekend, which will be tough, but maybe they just need to face a crappy team and everyone just, just have 3 games where they score 8 runs and it's like, okay, now we're starting to get going.
They did that a little bit, though. At the start of this season, there were like 6 runs, 7 runs. It's like, okay, here we go. But then it just fell
maybe
off.
Tanaka really is healthy and going to be a great pitcher again, because if that's the case, then you can kind of brush last night off. But
he pitched so well.
Yeah, it was so frustrating just because of how well Sales pitched, and he hasn't gotten any run support.
Yeah. Only thing I don't want is we're in the middle of July and Chris Sale is angry. Because if you think Angry Dan gets angry, Chris Sale is a much more scarier. And I believe that even though he took the high road with his comments last night about he needs to pitch better, they put up a goose egg for you, Chris. I mean, eventually they have to take responsibility. He has to cut up some uniforms, throw some things around. I can teach you. I know how to do some of those things.
And then one final thing. Last night was round 1 of the NFL draft.
Oh, was it?
Patriots didn't have a pick. They actually don't pick until much later today. Is the 3rd round?
They don't even know. The third
Saturday.
round is Saturday. Yeah.
So they don't pick till Saturday. They're probably in there doing moves we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on any of it?
I was not surprised that nothing happened for the Patriots last night. I won't be surprised if nothing happens as far as the whole Butler thing and the Garoppolo thing. I think it's time for people to understand and realize and just accept the fact that either Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or both are calling it quits in a season or 2, which is why they've loaded up like they have, and they're just they're just stocking up to try and win another Super Bowl or 2 over the next 2 seasons. But I really don't think the draft is any bigger of a deal than any other professional sports draft. I think it's just because ESPN tells us it's a bigger deal, so everyone goes, okay. It's not. It's a big deal.
Yeah, well, they know.
They won the Super Bowl last year without a draft pick. They haven't drafted extremely well in the higher rounds. They have a history of that, and they've still won all those Super Bowls.
And when Belichick likes a guy because he goes after him. Like, he traded up to get Hightower. He traded up to get... Oh, well, he had the 7th pick out of sheer luck, and he drafted Mayo, who, when he wasn't hurt, was awesome. So.
Mayo was just a great player that just never was, really, to be honest.
All right, so good to have you back.
Thanks, even though you don't mean it.
No, I just have to say it for the camera.
I understand.
All right, when we get back, we will finish up Sports Weekly.
Right arm, right leg.
Left leg, left arm.
Both legs above the knee.
Both legs, part of my left hand.
Lost both my legs in Iraq.
These 9/11 veterans are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and pull-down cabinets that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans, thanks to our donors and supporters. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Hi, my name is Stu Karaska of the Boston Bruins. Hockey Fights Cancer is teaming up with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, and you can help. Learn how by going to thepancan.org and join the fight against pancreatic cancer today.
That's going to do it for Sports Weekly. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter for updates and news. See you again next week.